Hi folks, it's GhostCritic, back with a Thursday/Friday review show, and it just seems like every week for the last month something has been happening in whatever to really spoil my enjoyment of comics at the moment. I'll get to what happened this week at the end of the video because it's about one of the comics I managed to get this week. But for the rest of the comics, I'll do my best to keep as positive, as unbiased, as possible. And so we'll start with Dial H, issue 2. Nels, our main character, he's trying out the old phone booth, seeing what heroes he can come out as. And as you see from the cover, an odd, imaginative assortment from the mind of China Melville pops out of that booth. The characters on the front don't really get that much of a show. It's just basically there to tell the reader, you know, Nels is having a go at this, seeing what this box is capable of doing. Along the way, we do get some more of the Dial H heroes used to more effect, and there's certainly quite a few action-packed moments in this issue. We get a little bit more from this mysterious Exo character, a masked woman that starts off maybe being an enemy, turns out to be maybe more of an ally for Nels. And the problem I have with issue 2, and I thought I might have this problem from issue 1 where we were introduced to our hero, Nels isn't really that likeable a character. As we saw in the first issue, he's in and out of hospital, and this is due to his own devices. You know, he smokes too much, he drinks too much, he eats too much, he doesn't take any exercise at all. He is just this lazy, you know, fat guy who is just basically a blight on society. And it's very difficult to connect to this character and to feel for him. Whether his use of the phone booth is going to turn his life around and make him a better person, that's yet to be seen. But at the moment, my main obstacle with this issue is the likability of Nels. I don't feel sorry for him enough. I don't feel that he's a worthy character to be able to use the phone booth. But we'll see. I'll pick up issue 3. If it's really bad, I'll drop it. If it's good, if it's okay, I'll continue on with at least this first story arc. At the moment, I'm a bit nonplussed about it all. On we go to from Image, issue 2, Secret. Now, because of the bank holiday, comics were a day late, so I only picked these up tonight. So I just read through these this evening. This is going to be a title, an issue I'm going to have to go back and read. Now, I don't know whether this is just because of my problem with Hickman on independent titles. He has these kind of huge concept ideas that I think this medium of comic books, believe it or not, is too small. It's too limiting for him. This feels very much like kind of like a HBO TV series, and maybe that's what he hopes it will gear up to. But I get a very kind of TV drama quality about it, where I think I would be able to take it in more visually through like actors and scene rather than actually reading it on the page. Now, whether that makes me a poor comic book reader, you can call me that if you want. I may be a lazy comic book reader. You can call me that if you want, but I find it really difficult. There's not a great flow to it. It's interesting, but there's too much, or is it too little there? I'm not entirely sure. I think I may go back and read issue 1 first to re-familiarise myself with what's going on, and then reread issue 2, and I'll probably get a better understanding about it. But at the moment I'm finding it very confusing, knowing who all the characters are, where they all fit. The colour style is still that kind of monochromatic colour block of colours. So you get panels all in red, all in grey, all in yellow, and I'm still confused at that concept. I can understand the red because most of the time there's blood involved. The greys, not so much. I'm not quite understanding that. The yellows, you would think, you know, yellow you kind of associate with yellow-bellied, cowardice kind of stuff. But the scenes that have the yellow monochromatic block colouring in doesn't lend it to that kind of idea of cowardice. So I'm very confused by this book. What did you think? Issue 10, Detective Comics, Batman, and it doesn't have the Court of Owls sign on the top of the banner. So I guess this comes after the Court of Owls, the Night of the Owls, despite the fact that, as far as I'm concerned, it isn't over yet. So I'm a bit confused how this has come out so soon, but maybe that's just the way it's landed. However, what we have in this issue is, I believe, a new villain for Batman. I'm certainly not acquainted with this Mr. Toxic, whether he's a kind of B-list villain for Batman that I've never come across yet. Please enlighten me. But he has gathered together this kind of band of his own Batmen, obviously villainous, and they're off to hijack a van that's got something inside that he really wants. He really wants it. And Batman is obviously out there, the real Batman, to stop this. And by the end of the issue, well, as usual, Batman is on the ropes. It was an okay issue, you know, it's Tony Daniels on Detective. It's been hit and miss throughout. I did enjoy the artwork by Ed Benes. It was an okay story. It's interesting enough for me to want to know what's going to happen next, who this Mr. Toxic is, who these Batmen were. Yeah, it was okay. More than okay, but not pick of the week. Thought I'd give it to something else for a change. Swamp Thing in its issue 10. And here we have Abby taking Swamp Thing, Alec Holland, back home. He is obviously in a very weakened state after just fighting Lord Seth and the Rot to win back Abby. So Abby's taking him back to the swamp to heal. But throughout the title we have this kind of sort of disembodied voice of our new villain. Well, I say new villain, he's a recurring villain in past Swamp Thing volumes. It is of course Anton Arcane, arch nemesis of Swamp Thing. And there's a lot of history in here about Abby as a child and her connection to the Rot, even as, you know, a newborn. But his voice is throughout, and you realise by the end of the issue who he's actually been talking to. I'm obviously not going to spoil it for you, but things don't look good for any of the characters. Francesco Francaveli on art, I love it. I've always loved his art. It's just got this dark, murky tone. Certainly fits Swamp Thing down to a T. I don't miss Paquette's artwork, even though I've definitely come accustomed to it and liking it more and more, but I was so happy to see Francaveli on this. Francavilla, sorry. So yes, definitely a pick up if you're not picking up something. What have you been doing for the last 10 months? Shocking. So, I've got 2 comics to go, but the first one I'm going to show is my pick of the week. I thought I'd give it something that pretty much always deserves to be pick of the week, but something just pips it, or usually it comes out at the same time as Swamp Thing. So I certainly think it needs it for this issue. It's Morning Glories. I hope you can see that. It's a bit dark here this evening. And it is issue 19. And we have... we go back, after the weirdness of the last couple of issues, we go back to the Wood Run storyline that's been ongoing over the last 4 or 5 issues. And the last we saw of the Wood Run, Zoe had just stabbed Hunter's almost new girlfriend, who seemed more compatible to him than kind of the beautiful 90210 girls that he normally goes after. And Zoe is chasing Hunter, obviously, or, you know, we assume to kill him too, as he's seen her kill this girl. In between this chase scene, we have a flashback from Hunter's past life and his relationship with his mother. His mother has cancer and she's dying. She's in a hospital, and Hunter obviously goes there every day to look after her, to take a shift. And there you can see there is a special bond between him and his mother. He's trying his best to get out of going to the Morning Glories Academy, or at least applying for it. He thinks he's very average, he has average marks, he's just a kind of average guy. Why would this academy want to take him where the best of the best go? And of course his mother, whether she knows something or whether it's just the love a mother has for her son or any sibling, she tells him he's very special, that he will do great things and he must never put himself down. And as with Nick Spencer, he teases us with so many little bits, and even in the flashbacks you've got to watch things, and you see, when you come to the last page, you're like, I just saw that person, where did I see them? And then you look back and you see that person in the flashback. Nick Spencer is such a clever writer on this title, and believe me, no one is ever safe in this title. Much like when you read Kirkman on The Walking Dead, you think you have your main set of characters and they're always going to be there, but then Kirkman kills one off in, you know, just an absolute fury. Nick Spencer's pretty much the same. Fantastic issue. Morning Glories is definitely a must read, and always near the top of my pile to read. So we've got one more comic. You're probably thinking, Mark, I know what's been out this week, and you haven't covered it. I almost didn't get my copy of this, and this is what's put me in a bit of a mood. I just don't know what to think about this. The comic I'm talking about is, of course, Before Watchmen, and it's issue 1 of Minutemen. Now, I'm not so much going to talk about the comic book about this, just to say this, Darwin Cook does a very good job. I enjoyed the storyline. It's seen from the perspective of the original Night Owl. He's retired, but he's looking back at how the group got together, and you get little kind of, I guess, small little vignettes of each of the character, where they've come from, their background, and how eventually, right at the end, how they ended up all together. That's not what I'm going to really talk about. Other people have reviewed this already. Just for me to say, you know, I think it's a good read. That's what I'm going to say. My point is, I almost didn't get this. I seriously thought my comic book guy was joking me when he said this. He is boycotting the Before Watchmen series. He is not going to stock any of these issues. I really don't know what to think of that. Now, let me put it into a little perspective so I'm not damning the bloke here, because he's a really great guy. Now, he's actually a very good friend of Alan Moore. They go out drinking. They go around, he's been round to his house. They are very close. My comic book guy, he's organising a kind of mini comic book convention in September, and Alan Moore's going to be there. I think he's doing it as like a favour for him. And so in a kind of, I guess, solidarity with Alan Moore, he's decided not to stock the book. And I really don't know what to think about that. Is it a form of censorship? Is he doing a good thing for Alan Moore? Does Alan Moore even know that the comic book guy is doing this? At first, I was annoyed. Why should he stop me getting a comic book that I'm interested in? Whether it's good, whether it's bad, you're a business, you sell comics. Whether you like them, whether you dislike them. I mean, there's enough dirge on his shelf, you know, to fill up another room in his shop. But I don't tell him not to stock them. I don't know, what do you guys think? Am I being oversensitive about this? Do I have a point? Should he stock it regardless of his affiliation with Alan Moore? Whether, even if he didn't know Alan Moore, would he be right in not stocking it just because he thinks that Watchmen is the be-all and end-all and nothing should have come before it or after it? I don't know. It just annoyed me a little. It looks like this will be the first time I've ever had to do this. I'm going to have to go online and get any other issues that I actually want now of the Before Watchmen series. I'm going to stop now. Anyway, that's my little rant over. Oh, of course, it's the end of the video. So if you're new here, subscribe to the button up there. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and put a comment down there. What did you get this week? What do you think of my comic book shop boycotting Before Watchmen? What did I miss out on this week? Just general chit chat. Anyway, take care and have a good one.